Everyone, Electro here. Just to follow up from yesterday's video. There's the original pattern, and here are the dies that they fit on, basically. So that pattern fits on there like that. Let's see if I can focus that for you guys. Now, here's the ceramic that I milled yesterday. That's more or less straight out of the furnace. And there's the fit that we were talking about. I'll see if I can get that close. So as you can see, it fits pretty well. Now, this is just some other uses or what I use this material for, what it was intended for. And that's stuff like this. This is going to be somebody's smile. This is the top of. Now, this is carved or milled from a solid block of zirconia, like that. Again, that fits in my milling machine. I go through a laborious process really to get the pattern from this, but I mill that from that, and then I finish the processing as I'm doing with this one here. And all this is custom fired porcelain on this now to match the patient's smile, etc. But anyway, that's the intended use. That's one there that I've cut in half after I've finished it, just as an experimental job. It shows you all the applications and porcelain and stuff. But anyway, one other thing I wanted to cover with you guys, I'll just take you over here, is mixing resins for the coils. Now, a lot of people have been saying you got to cure it under a vacuum. I think that's incorrect, because how I treat my resins, and we're involved with a great deal of accuracy in my trade, but to get a dense resin mix, or any mix really, we've got like machines like this. This is a vacuum mixer. There's the vacuum there. That's the reset button and the start button. Now, it's got a shaft there which turns. That's on a timer. Counts down. I've got it set at the moment at 45 seconds. But that couples to this, which is the paddle in your mixing bowl here. I'll just turn that off for a sec. Now, the vacuum, as you can see there, it comes in through this tube. And if you pop the vacuum off there it goes. And that connects to the mixing bowl. And in turn, that gets turned by the shaft up here. So you're basically mixing everything in a vacuum environment. Now, after that, there's also a vibrating table on this. It's adjustable, but this is where the important fact lies. It's the agitation of the vibrating table which will bring the bubbles to the surface. A vacuum will only enlarge the bubbles, and that will help them come to the surface. And also by the negative pressure created in the rest of the vacuum chamber. But when you've got a coil and you've poured hand mixed resin into it, and then you subject that to a vacuum, in most cases, or in a lot of cases, depending on how thick your resin is, of course, that will actually give you a more porous mix, because all you're really doing with the vacuum is enlarging the bubbles. You're not putting it on a vibrating table to agitate the bubbles to bring them to the surface, because in a viscous mix, it's the agitation of the table, or the agitating action of the table, which brings the bubbles to the surface, not the actual formation or the actual bubbles themselves. They won't travel through a viscous liquid that effectively. So that's got a lot to do with it. Furthermore, after pre-mixing the resin or the investment or the plaster or whatever I've got to pour, If I want a really dense mix, what I do then is I've got a pressure cooker basically, and there's an air valve and a safety valve on the top of it, and I pump it up. Now I previously quoted to Russ 5 bar, wrong, it's 2 bar atmospheric pressure, and I let the material sit under that. The effect that this has is it shrinks the bubbles because of the pressure, and it also allows further penetration, or basically a pressure effect on the resin to penetrate the coils. So using, I suppose you can vacuum mix your resin first, but it's not totally necessary if you mix it correctly. But the deciding factor would be not to cure it in a vacuum, but to cure it in pressure, because that will give you a denser resin. So anyway, for those of you who intend to do that with your coils, bear that in mind. It's quite, and another thing I've got to show you while I'm at it, for those of you who work in enclosed areas and you need compressed air, you've got to get yourself one of these. This is my air compressor. It's a June Air Silent. Now listen to this. That's on. I can talk out, not a problem, and that'll give me ample pressure to run. This is my sandblaster. There's an air attachment to it. It's already built up pressure. There. Again, this is a mini sandblaster. Everything's quite small, but anyway, post your comments. Thanks. Bye.